Hi there, and welcome to the Multiply You podcast, where we showcase top experts in their space and reveal all the secrets you need to know to multiply you.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Austin Clark here. I am the host of the Multiply You podcast, where I talk with leaders in the pest control industry and in leaders in the business space in general. Check out some of our past episodes. Just the other day, we had Matt Beckwith on of Clark Pest Control. He is an integral part of helping to run that $200 million organization. And had I known way back when some of the things that he shared on that podcast, I'd be much, much better off now. And so please check it out. You'll love some of the nuggets that he shares. Today, I've got Dr. Jeremy Weiss of Rise 25, who's done thousands of interviews with successful entrepreneurs and CEOs. And today we flip the script and he will be interviewing me. Jeremy, great to have you on.
Thanks for having me. We were talking about what should we talk about today before this, and what's one of the sexiest topics for a business owner? It's marketing and sales. It's how to grow. And we're like, let's talk about that, because that's what everyone wants to hear about, is everyone wants to know about. So we're going to talk about that today. Before we jump into it, this episode is brought to you by Moxie Pest Control. And Austin, I know the number one focus for you and your team is buying other pest control businesses. So if you're out there, if you know someone with a pest control business with 3 or more trucks on the road, and it's a really respectable brand, they would love to talk to you. If you yourself are one of those people, just reach out to them. And I know, Austin, when you told me one of the stories of Randy, he was in business for 30 years, wasn't interested in selling. He never thought he could sell his company for what you paid for it. And he's now living a great life in retirement. So you can text Austin directly at 480-254-9730 or email him at aclark@moxiepestcontrol.com. If you go to the main website and contact their national team, it won't get to Austin. So make sure to message him directly at aclark@moxiepestcontrol.com. So Austin, talk about growth for a second. I'm sure you had strategies when you first started and strategies now. When someone asks you, okay, I need more clients, what do you tell them?
Great question. And like you said, we did talk about this earlier. It's everything. Everyone wants to talk about growth. They want to talk about marketing in particular. And so I think the first thing that we need to do is to define, often people use marketing and sales interchangeably. And that's not the case. They are two completely separate things and pieces of your business. And so you talk about an industry leader such as Apple, their marketing is such and their product is such that the sales is so easy. And so one of my first suggestions would be to have your marketing be incredible, whatever that means. And so, if you've ever been through any thought exercises or hired any professionals on marketing, you will spend an insane amount of time discussing your ideal customer, right? Your ideal client. What do they look like? Where do they shop? How much education do they have? How much money do they make? Where do they live? What kind of home? What part of the country do they live in? All of those sorts of things. And so start to think about that. You need to get inside of the mind space of where are they? Who are they? What do they do? How much disposable income do they have? Are they married? Are they? And so all of those sorts of things, you'll want to start to think like your ideal customer. And so as far as marketing goes, that's where I would start. And then you go to start craft messages and copy and put it in front of where they may be. Are they on Facebook or are they on Instagram? If they're on Facebook, what parts of Facebook are they in? What types of groups are they subscribed to or do they associate with? Where do they get their content? Where do they get their news? Is it on YouTube? Is it on the Apple app? Is it a physical paper that's delivered to their home if that's your ideal client, right? And so who are they? Where are they? You also need to understand too that it is okay to have multiple avatars, if you will, or multiple ideal customers. And so I'll give you a great example. Maybe it's not a great example, but I'll give you an example in our space, in the pest space. We have multiple. And one of those avatars is the retired couple. They're on the, they're into the golden years. The kids are out of the house. The grandkids come over occasionally, but they're just not into doing their own pest stuff. That person wants to spend more time relaxing, golfing, and some of the things that they used to do, like mowing the lawn, cleaning the pool, doing the bug spray. They're saying, nope, not anymore. I'm going to the country club. I'm taking my grandson, granddaughter out to whatever. I'm going to this ball game. And so they leave it to us. It looks like you've almost got something to say. You're smiling.
No, I
there.
love it because I totally can picture that.
Yeah.
I know that I could visualize this exact person, the people I know, that's exactly what they're thinking. So you can craft the messaging, the specific messaging to their pain points, to their wants and desires, because you have this whole crafted ideal client.
Yep, that's it. And so there's one avatar, right? Another one is a stay-at-home mom. Partners away, working 100 hours a day, 1,000 hours a week kind of thing, and there's just not that time. But we both have wives, Jeremy, and children. And if there's a scorpion, if you're in Arizona, or a black widow, if you're in other parts of the country, and you're away doing your thing, that is unacceptable. Just ask your wife if you don't think so. And so you are usually hiring a professional to clean your pool, or do your landscaping, or do your bug spray. And so there are two different, and there's multiple, right? There's multiple avatars, there's multiple ideal customers. And so the thought exercise is valuable and important enough so you can start to think about who they are, where they shop, where they hang out socially. And what I mean by that is physically, what store do they go to? Nordstrom's, or do they shop at a different place? Do they do grocery shopping at Walmart, or do they do that at a different place? And then also socially, like social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, like what platforms are they on? Okay. And so if you've got a great marketing plan, and we're so lucky, at Moxie, we have an incredible national team that takes a lot of that burden and takes a lot of that off of our shoulders. They do an incredible job. They generate thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of qualified leads. You'll talk to marketing people, and they'll talk about leads. There's a big difference between a lead and a qualified lead. And so our marketing team has invested thousands and thousands, and just really countless hours, millions and millions and millions of dollars, dialing in a lot of our copy and messaging to where we are locally: Phoenix, Texas, Southern California, all of that sort of thing. And so that's the first piece that I would say about marketing. Sales, yeah, you need to know how to communicate with people. You need to know how to make good eye contact. You need to know how to draft up requests for proposals. You need to know how to close. You need to know how to do those things. And so that's kind of sales 101. And a lot of the folks at Moxie, that's where we cut our teeth doing direct sales. And so we certainly have a competency doing that, and that has helped us to grow. If you receive, you spend, the last thing, Jeremy, you want to do is spend hundreds of thousands or millions or whatever it is of dollars in marketing just to muff it up on the sales end. And so what I mean by that, let's say that we spend the money that we spend, or you do, and then you put that lead, that very qualified lead, in front of a salesperson like me that closes 10%, and a sales master or professional, Jeremy, like you, that closes at 50%. Well, where do I want those leads to go to? Not to me. I want them to go to you. We're leaving 40% on the table. And so the other piece of that I'll talk about briefly, that's important, that I'm shocked that most, not just in my space, but in all space, but is just proper tracking. you need to know how much money you're spending on each campaign. Hey, we spent $500 on this campaign. Great. What is our return on investment there? And you're unable to answer that question if you don't know first how much money you spent, how many qualified or leads came in, how many of those were qualified, and then how many sales did we get? And then what's the lifetime value of that customer? And then what's the purpose after you've got a customer? Are you upselling? Are you cross-selling? How are you making that customer more valuable and profitable to the company by offering more goods and services that they may need? So know your numbers, know your marketing spend, know your return on investment for each avenue. If you're doing it right, you'll have multiple avenues, and they don't need to be the same. It'll just say, hey, we don't have the same results here as we do here. Maybe we dial that campaign down and maybe we dial it up here, but don't give up on it, because it could be a seasonality type of thing. It could be just some poor copy that needed to be tweaked. You'll want to do a lot of A/B split testing. So those are a couple of my thoughts on sales and marketing.
So, Austin, I love this because people all want to go right to the tactics. Like, okay, what do I do? Do I do Facebook ads? Do I do Instagram ads? Do I do direct mail? But you're really taking us through a methodology that's even more valuable than that. And so I want to talk about the sales piece and some of the biggest mistakes you've seen people make when they get on the phone with people. But just to reiterate, you're recommending first map out your ideal client, the avatar, then hone in on the messaging, figure out where these people live, what they do, where they go, so you could put that messaging in front of them, whether it's at the country club, whether it's at Instagram, which is on Facebook. And then once that happens, you want to track it and make sure you see how much you're spending on this. And then you're doing the sales piece and getting on the phone with them to, tell them what you do, all the things that you do, and having that convert to an actual client. What are some of the biggest mistakes people make in that phase?
I'll give you two in my experience, and it doesn't matter if you're in the pest space or any space. The first that I see a lot across the board is incomplete info. And so I would think that the very first thing, and our scripts kind of say so, hey, Jeremy, thank you so much for calling in today. Tell me a little bit more about why you've done that, right? So right then and there, you can identify the pain point and start going about how you, as the business, might serve this prospective customer, right? And then after you learn a little bit more about that situation, you must gather important information like name, number, contact info. We've been on the phone 100 times with different firms, that say, and in case we get disconnected, what's the best number? That's important because people do get disconnected and you do want their contact info. You not only want their contact info to get back in touch with them if you get disconnected, but you have paid a small fortune for that phone to ring, or for that web form to be filled out, or for that email to be sent. And so while you may not close the deal right then and there on the phone, or whatever your sales cycle look like, you can repurpose that information to continue to market to them. So the first is, as far as coming to sales, is incomplete information. So get all of the information, the critical information that you may need, so that you can best serve that customer now and in the future. And then second is, I guess I'll give you three. Second is just clearly communicating, right? What is going to be done? What is their pain point? What solutions are you able to offer? What's the frequency? What's the pricing? What's the term? And that's why there's agreements. Agreements are so important. You want to have this stuff written down, and you must, and the customer needs to have that too, and to be able to sign for it and agree to it. But really the biggest one is closing. My goodness gracious, they have called you for a reason. They're not calling a pest company just to talk to me about how the weather is. They're calling me to take care of their ants or whatever it is. And so let them share that information with you. Craft in your mind. I mean, if you're a professional salesperson, you've done this a million times and you've been successful. And then explain to them the features and benefits and how you're going to solve their problem. And then And then remember your ABCs, right? Always be closing. And so closing is such a wonderful, beautiful thing because two things happen. You get a sale, which is great for the company and great for the customer because they are getting what they've called for, or you get an objection. And that's great too, because if you're a professional, then you go about resolving that objection or concern, and then you close again. And so closing just gets you closer to serving that customer faster or not. And it's respectful of both parties' time. So don't be afraid to do it. It's not this big scary thing. You just say, hey, thanks for calling. Here's the plan. Here's how we can serve you. We can be out there tomorrow, or mornings or afternoons best for you. That's it. Or whatever the close looks like, or whatever the close is. So don't forget to give them a contract or an agreement. Don't forget to close.
This has been awesome, Austin. Thank you for sharing all of this. For more episodes, check out, like you said, Matt and other episodes. And also, if you think of someone who would be great as far as a respectable brand that may be wanting to look to sell or retire, Clark at moxiepestcontrol.com. So thanks again, Austin.
Hey, thank you, Jeremy. Appreciate you having me on.
Thank you for listening to the Multiply You podcast. You'll see us again soon when you subscribe for future episodes.